Hi everyone, it's Jenny from A Stamping Journey with you today. I wanted to show you how I created this sweet card using the lovely Free as a Bird stamp set. This set has been really popular with many people since the catalogue came out a couple of weeks ago. And there are so many different ways you can colour these sweet birds in. But I thought I'd show you how I've done this one. So today we're just going to get I've already cut the piece of white. I've used thick crisp white. You need that when you're using the blends. And I've cut that out with the new stitched nested labels dies. I've used this size, which is probably the largest of them. I've already cut that out for you just to save a little time. We're going to use the Memento black ink to ink up these birds. So I just find it easier to put the ink pad directly to the stamp when it's such a large stamp block to use. So just give that an ink up. Stamp that on your card. Just centre it on your card, that's okay. Give it a nice firm press so you transfer the ink. So we're going to use a number of different Stampin Blends to colour this card. So firstly we're going to have the petal pink. I like to use the light first, and what I've done is just really done the outline of it. You might see that the centres of the birds are left uncoloured. That's when you look at it, you can, if you look at something, you get a bit of the lighter areas on something. So to create that, it gives you the image of it reflecting the light. So you're just going to use the light petal pink and run around the outline. We're going to use, I got two different colour birds for this one. They're very sweet. You can colour these any which colour you like. So just run around. You can always come back and add more to it. I'm just using the dark now just to go in the edge part. I like a lot of these images, Stampin' Up too. They actually create a little bit of the lines and the shading, so you can have a bit of an idea where to go. Just to add a little bit of extra highlights, you can then go back with your light just to run over it to blend those colours. And I forgot to do that little dark one on there. Let's get the dark blend again and do a little bit more highlighting with that. Just run around, not spending too long on it, just so you get an idea. Now for these other two birds, I've done the pool party and the granny apple green. I got the inspiration for these colours off the bird ballad paper, which is just gorgeous in itself. And I found that some of these birds had the highlights of the green, that granny apple green, and the pool party on it. So I thought I'd try that. And I was happy with how they turned out. So what you want to do is use the pool party first. I've still gone back to the light pool party still. Adding a little bit. I've still left the centre of the bird blank, just uncoloured, so you get a bit of that light idea. I've gone over it with the dark, just adding a little bit, not too much, because I still want to add some of that granny apple green to it, but just so you get a touch of that darker shade. Then we'll get the granny apple green. I've used the dark for this one and just adding a few lines on the shading. That's all you need to really do, add the highlights. You can always go back again with the light Pool Party and blend those colours. It's okay to mix the colours. You get that little bit of blending happening. It all starts coming together once you do some more. We'll even add a little bit more of the darker Pool Party just to add a few more highlights to the bird. You can keep coming back and forth. We won't spend too long on it. Watching me colour, that could be like watching paint dry. Alright, we're just going to add just a couple of touches on the beak. Just to add some colour. Now we're also going to colour the branch and the flowers because I think that's really pretty. So what you'll need is the dark. I'm just going to use the dark for this one. We're using the narrow tip this time because it's only a narrow trunk, a tree branch, and just on a couple of spots. I haven't done these branches. I think it gets too fine. It can become a little messy. And using the light crumb cake this time, just running along the top part of it, because if you're looking down on something, it tends to be lighter at the top. So you'll get that impression by colouring the lighter part, lighter crumb cake at the top. All right, well now we're going to do the leaves. This time I'm using the Old Olive. So I'm going over it once again with the light, just colouring in most of the leaf. It doesn't matter if you've left some parts of it uncoloured. It gives you a little bit more variation of the light. Just going over it. And I'm going to add some highlights. This time I'm going to add using the dark. So just where you get the veins of the leaves, just add a little bit there. Really, you don't have to be perfect at colouring. I'm certainly not, and I'm really learning a lot as I go. So don't be afraid to give it a go. Right, so on the flowers, we're going to use the Calypso Coral. It just gives you a nice little bright touch to the flowers. It just gives you a little pop, I think, with the Calypso Coral. And doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, and just going with the dark Calypso Coral now, just add a little bit of highlight. I'm using the narrow end, the thin end there, to add those highlights. It's good to create the depth of colour to it. Right, now you can keep going back over it, adding colour to it how you want, that's okay. Now, what you might notice on the card, just have a close look there. I've actually outlined the whole image with the light smoky slate. I think that creates a little bit of depth to your images. I tend to do that a lot on my cards. If you could not just, you don't have to just use the smoky slate. You could use a light Pool Party, or the light soft sea foam is really nice too. But for this, we're adding a little bit of highlight and depth by going around the outline with the smoky slate. I've used the thin end. It's much easier. So go around the whole outline. It does take a little time. I'm not going to do the whole thing now for you because really you want to watch me draw a line around a shape. That could be a little bit boring, but it's just to give you an idea. Going through the whole lot. We'll get to a point and then we'll come back to finish the card with, we'll show you the finished card. See, if you just get an idea, I'm just going around the outline just to create that depth. You don't have to do that on all the cards you do. All right. So that gives you the general idea. So back to the card. We've stamped the hello, the sentiment from the free as a bird. Now to finish the card, what I've done is added some of the gorgeous lace. This is the scalloped lace trim that's just available now in a new catalogue. To put that on your card, I've just run a little bit of your snail down the back of the card and then just added that along the edge, having a little bit peeking under. Gives you a little softness to the card. What I've also done is I've used the leaf out of this stamp set and stamped that a couple of times over to the top and also down the bottom. The paper here is from the Free as a Bird Designer Series paper, and it's actually the opposite side of this piece. It's just a softness. I mean, you could use that piece to make it pop. I just thought with all the birds it might clash with the stamped birds. So, but of course, you can use either side you want or any of the other prints in it. It's quite pretty. So I tend to always add a pearl or a rhinestone on all my cards just because I like the touch of bling. So there's your finished card. I'll show you just quickly some of the other cards I've made with this set. I've been showing them on my blog this week, so you can find out more details. This was the swap that we did at, not the swap card, the make and take at On Stage. I'm starting to get a little bit dirty, which I'll have to fix that up. But it's got some more of that scalloped lace trim, which is really pretty. This one I've just used the Designer Series paper. I just showed this on my blog the other day, and it has one of the birds on it with the touch of the granny apple green and the pool party, some of the other birds as well. With this gorgeous paper, you don't need a lot to make a card. You can simply add a piece of the gorgeous paper. I've just added a couple of loops of the linen thread behind it. I've also made another one with the Designer Series paper, just a simple piece on there, and I've coloured this bird in with the petal pink and the crumb cake to create match the birds in the paper, and adding some of the mint macaron ribbon there. This one here, of course, using more of the paper. You've got so much beautiful paper, just use it and make that as a feature. So I've cut the window out of this one with the stitch nested labels dies. It's quite a mouthful, isn't it? And this time I've stamped some of the flowers in the set. We go back to the set and stamp the flowers, the big one and the small one, and a couple of the leaves. Cut them out by hand. There is no dies for this, but cutting can be quite a relaxing thing. I've glued these ones straight down onto the card, but this one I've raised up. I've stamped a couple of the little flowers around the outside too. Inside, I just didn't like the odd piece of paper on the back. Even though it's pretty paper, well, I had it at a bit of an angle to try and get the birds at the best angle I wanted through the window. So I've just covered that with another piece of white card and stamped the flowers down the bottom. This one was our make and take at my launch a couple of weeks ago, and everyone loved these birds, once again in petal pink, and I've stamped the leaves on the edge. This one was cased off. Now I can't remember offhand who that was from, but more of the scallop lace trim there. And I've been making a couple of little tags to go with these, of course, that make with the new scallop punch, which name has escaped me for the moment. These are my thank you cards for orders this month for my customers, and just simply using the new punch, stamping a couple of the leaves and colouring the flower. That's really pretty paper. And we've got some more little tags using some of the sentiments, and I've used the silver thread looped around. You don't really need much more when you've got this gorgeous paper. So I hope you like the card today, and it might give you a little more confidence with your colouring. But of course, I've seen so many different coloured versions of these birds. You can choose whatever ones you want, and whether you use the Stampin Blends or whether you use the ink pads with the aqua painter or the watercolor pencils. Just enjoy it, just experiment. There's no mistake. It's only a little bit of card if you want to just try again if you're not happy with it. So thanks for visiting me. You can stop by my blog, and I'll put the link in the comments. You can stop by and see the rest of the cards, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.